Starting off the new year right with the premier probate and estate attorney in DC, Michael Forrester. Happy New Year, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy 2023.
Yes, happy 2023 indeed. So much better than those other ones. So you told me about a case that was so amazing and so wonderful with the result that came from it. And I was like, man, we gotta start the year off right. Let's get into a conversation because I think people can learn a lot from this. So can you just kind of walk through that case? Tell me some of the stuff that you were telling me because it really is incredible.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Cedric. Yeah, this was a case that felt really good to win for my client. It sort of touched on a lot of the areas that I work on and a lot of things I help clients with. So I thought it would be a good one to highlight as like a learning experience, sort of going forward for people. Basically, it's a woman. We'll call her Jane Smith. She owned a house with her husband. We'll call him John Smith. And they were married. He passed away. He didn't have a will, which was the first issue. The second issue was that the deed didn't say, they owned it as husband and wife, tenants by the entirety, in which, if you own it that way, it automatically passes to the surviving spouse. But it said they owned it as sole owner, which was kind of confusing. Flash forward 10, 15 years, her husband's daughter from a different marriage, we'll call her the stepdaughter, she got greedy and she's like, I should have a piece of this property. This isn't husband and wife property. This is a probate asset. I want my piece as a surviving daughter. So she filed with the court. We had a hearing and was able to successfully argue to the judge that this, even though it didn't have the magic words, the circumstances and some other legal arguments, that this was a husband and wife house. And so the client got to keep the house. She didn't have to pay the stepdaughter. The claim by the stepdaughter was completely thrown out. So it was a great decision to get from the judge.
So what made it so that, because I think a lot of people would assume, even when my grandfather passed away, my grandmother just stayed in the house. What is it about that where people would normally just think, okay, you were married, so you get to stay? Like, why was this case different?
So it's the language in the deed. So there's a presumption basically in DC, usually that if you own a house with someone else, that it's a tenancy in common. And a tenancy in common is someone dies and it goes to their heirs through their will or through that. So you have to overcome that presumption. It didn't say tenants by the entirety is the husband and wife ownership, where it goes automatically to the surviving spouse. It didn't say tenants. Nowhere in the document said tenants by the entirety, and nowhere in the document did it say even husband and wife owned it. It said the two of them owned it as sole owner. So that gave an opening for her to say this is tenants in common, and his share should go through probate. That's what the stepdaughter had tried to do. So what we ended up doing is we got my client's brother testified that the family all wanted it to go, they wanted his sister to have a place to stay. It originally been family property and they sold it at a discount to her and her husband. That I found some legal precedents about what's sort of when husbands and wife own things, is it presumed to be joint or not? And even that there's a legal idea that husband and wife, like the sole owner language, that the husband and wife kind of create one entity. So by saying sole owner, I argued that that meant the one entity of the spousal ownership that then passed to her. So it was a variety of different things that we were able to sort of get to the judge to rely on ultimately.
Nice. Yeah, you clearly knew what to say and how to beat them up, because it sounds like it worked out. Now, I did hear something that was key here is stepdaughter. So one of the things that makes this unique, it sounds like, is the fact that they did not have children together that were able to say, hey, it's ours now because we are the heirs of this unit. So this
Right.
person was not that. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so the stepdaughter, I think it came into a couple different things. I mean, number one, if it was my client's daughter and they had a good relationship, I'm sure the daughter would have been like, let her stay there. She doesn't have, a ton of money, a ton of options. I'm not going to put her on the street. But this stepdaughter didn't have that familial relations with her, and so she let greed sort of dictate beyond, like, this isn't fair or a moral thing to do to a senior who doesn't have many options. And it also shows to me, like, the importance of estate planning. Like, for her husband, he had this, he had a complicated family situation with a prior child and a current wife, and he should have really, it would have been so much easier if he had done a will. I'm sure his will would have said, the house goes to my wife after I pass away, and that would have nullified the whole thing as well. But he unfortunately didn't do that. So especially when you have a complicated family situation, you want to have the estate planning documents in place in case there's something like this that comes up. So that was another lesson from it, to sort of reinforce the importance of doing that.
Yeah, that's some nasty business. Luckily, they had a top attorney like yourself on their side. Who did the stepdaughter have representing her? Just out of curiosity.
The stepdaughter had the law firm of Stepdaughter LLC. No, I mean, she was self-represented. She had her own. She had no legal counsel.
Oh, wait a minute.
So, yeah.
How curious. So she
so
didn't have an attorney.
She didn't have an attorney, and my client did. So that certainly helped. Sort of, you never want to go into court not knowing all your legal options. And she had been focused on some other things that weren't relevant to the case. And, we stayed focused on the issues that were going to be dealt with at that hearing. So I think that made a big difference as well.
Yeah, I think so too. People get so busy, they work so hard, they pour in all this time into whatever it is that they do. Well, for some reason, people are not willing to admit that you're good at what you're good at. And, law is not something that you just walk into a courtroom and decide, oh yeah, I got this. That is incredible that this lady thought that she could go up and, God bless her. I don't know her, but, to go up against Forster Law, ooh, big mistake. Like, I'm not surprised. You got to have an attorney in these matters in DC. Yeah, of course you won, because your firm, man, is really powerful. So, and clearly you know your stuff. So this doesn't surprise me at all. I'm glad that it was a situation where, good was done and the lady get to stay in her home, because it sounds like if you all did not win, maybe this widow would have been forced to, spend money she didn't have, or have to sell her house that she lives in.
Yeah. I mean, they had tried to mediate it, before I was involved, and it hadn't worked. And it was looking like she was going to have to. She was very stressed and concerned, for good reason, that she didn't have any other options, that were available to her. So I don't know what would have happened, but I'm glad that she didn't have to go, just figure that out. So
I don't know what would happen without you again. And this is the reason why I keep coming back to you, because you're a man of the people, and there's a lot of faces out there. And listen, just 2023, I don't mind saying it, man. You and I, we've been working together for some time. And I think, particularly when you're talking about investors and, people flipping houses and all this other stuff, people coming into these neighborhoods in the community, right? And there's this overarching fear about what will happen when you're talking to someone that doesn't look like grandma or grandpa or the aunt. And I get that. I'm sensitive to that. But someone that, grew up in Southeast DC, that comes from these neighborhoods, I trust you. That's why I've had you work with my family. You are a human being. It's not about color. And you just keep doing good work, man. And whoever that family is and whoever that lady is, I want to say thank you on behalf of them, because you're still putting in the work and saving people.
Oh, Well, thanks, Cedric. That means a lot to hear that from you. I appreciate that. And, I'd say the same for you, that you show, great compassion to your clients and to my clients when they use you. And, that makes a big difference when there are, a lot of the realtors don't have that heart attached that they listen to. And I know you always do. So, so I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. I just
I
want
feel like I feel like this has got too serious, so we need to call it close.
I know it got all somber, right?
Need to break the tension. This is it's hard to take those compliments.
Okay, so the moral of the story. So let me sum this up real quick before we wrap. So a widow is in a house for nearly 15 years, and then a wicked stepdaughter comes into town saying, "Hey, you better give me some money or I'm going to take that house." What should someone do to prevent that from happening to their spouse?
Yes. So if you're still alive, do a will and make sure that reflects your wishes, or a trust. A trust would have kept it out of probate completely. Either option. That'd be if you're alive. If you've unfortunately lost a spouse, if you're in the position of my client and that hasn't been set up, then engage with legal counsel and find out what your options are before it's too late. Don't wait till the last minute, because you don't know what deadlines you're missing. You don't know what opportunities you're missing. This client could have opened the estate before her stepdaughter. She had the same priority, but the stepdaughter filed it first. So there's a lot of different things that you could benefit from talking to a lawyer before it gets too far along.
Indeed. Well said. Okay. Well, another win, another happy ending, courtesy of Forrester Law. Thank you, man. This has been another moment filled with some nuggets here and some great education. So I know you're busy. I know you got stuff to do. I'm not gonna hold you any further.
No, thanks for the opportunity, Cedric, and I appreciate it. And hopefully one of many wins to come. But I just wanted to share this one to hopefully help some people out.
Oh, how can people reach you? Just, you
can, my website, forsterlawfirm.com, Forster spelled Forster. You can reach me on my office number is 202-400-2489, where you can schedule an appointment to speak with me if you have an issue, or you can email me, Michael, spelled Michael, at forsterlawfirm.com. Any of those ways, happy to talk with you.
Got it. Excellent. All right, man. That's it. We're good to go. Thanks again, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Take care.